The sky above the planet burned orange as a small ship broke through the clouds. It was not flying straight. Its engines coughed and smoke trailed behind. The hull was cracked. Sparks danced on the control panels. Inside, Toma held the controls, tight, his knuckles pale. "Hold on," he said, mostly to himself. Next to him, Rill sat still, her eyes closed, her hands resting on her knees. She was not human. Her skin had a soft glow, and her hair looked like silver threads. She wore a strange black suit that moved slightly, like it was breathing. The ship shook again. Toma cursed under his breath, then pulled hard on the controls. The ground came fast. Trees covered the landscape like a thick sea of green. There was no flat land in sight. With a final roar, the ship crashed through the trees, snapping branches and crushing leaves. Metal screamed as it skidded across the jungle floor. Finally, the ship stopped, tilted to one side, half buried in soil smoke filled the cockpit. Toma coughed and unbuckled his seatbelt. His hands shook. "Still alive," he muttered, then turned to Rill. "You okay?" She opened her eyes. They glowed faint blue. She nodded once, but her body was stiff. Toma reached for the emergency pack. "We need to move. The power core could leak." Rill tried to stand, but her suit locked her in place. The black surface of the armor rippled like water, then hardened again. She gasped, not in pain, but in shock. "It is squeezing me," she said softly. Toma paused. "Your armor?" "It is alive, but it is not listening." Toma had heard stories of living armor used by the Zalari, Rill's people. It bonded with the wearer, protected them from harm, and responded to danger. But this one seemed confused. Angry even, he helped her up. The armor groaned as she moved, like it was resisting. Still, they made it outside. The air was heavy and wet. Strange sounds echoed from deep in the forest. Insects buzzed, plants swayed, without wind. The jungle was dense and alive. Trees stretched high, their roots twisting along the ground. Bright flowers bloomed among thick vines. But there was no sign of other life. No cities, no lights, no help. Toma looked at the broken ship. It was smoking badly. "We can't stay here," Ryle nodded again, though her breath was short. The armor had wrapped tighter around her chest. Her steps were slow. Toma grabbed a scanner from the emergency kit. "There's a ridge that way," he said, pointing north. "Might give us better signal. Maybe we can call for help." They began walking. Every step was hard. The ground was uneven, full of mud and roots. Large bugs scattered when they came close. Strange. Bird-like sounds echoed from above. Toma kept glancing back at Rill. Her glow was dimming. "Is it hurting you?" he asked. "No," she said. "But it is afraid," Toma frowned. "Afraid? Of what?" "I do not know." After an hour, they stopped near a fallen tree. Rill sat down, breathing slowly. The armor pulsed like a slow heartbeat. Toma knelt beside her, looking at the armor closely. It was smooth, like metal, but it moved like skin. "Take it off," he said. Rill tried. Her fingers touched the neck of the suit, but it would not open. Instead, it curled tighter around her wrists. She winced. "It will not obey." Toma stood up, pacing. He wasn't a soldier or a doctor. He was a mechanic. He fixed ships, not living suits. But he could see this was more than just damage. The armor was reacting like it was alive, and scared something had scared it badly. "We need answers," he said. "This jungle. Something is wrong with it. Your suit knows it." Rill looked at him, then nodded. "We should move again." They walked deeper into the jungle. The air grew darker as thick leaves blocked the light above. Strange plants moved as they passed. At one point, a large vine stretched across their path. It twitched when they got near Toma. "Cut it with a blade." Thick green liquid oozed out. The vine hissed softly and pulled back. The deeper they went, the more the armor tensed. Ril's movements became slower. Her hands shook. She stopped speaking. Her eyes dimmed. Toma grabbed her arm. "We need shelter." They came across a hollow tree with a wide base. Toma cleared some space and helped her sit. He checked her pulse. It was weak. The armor was glowing faintly now. Green and yellow lines crawling. "Across its surface, I think it's trying to warn us," he said. "But I don't understand what," Ril whispered. "It remembers something. A battle. Long ago." "A battle here?" She nodded weakly. Toma sat beside her. His eyes scanned the forest. He felt it too, like the jungle was watching them, waiting. He looked at her armor again. It was alive. It was afraid. And it had good reason. Whatever happened here wasn't over, and now they were in the middle of it. The night came quickly on the jungle planet. One moment there was light through the tall trees. The next, deep shadows swallowed everything. Toma sat near the hollow tree where Ril rested. He had made a small fire using dry branches and a spark, tool from the ship. The fire gave little warmth, but it kept the dark away. Ril was quiet. Her breathing had slowed. Her armor, Zar, glowed with weak lines across her chest and arms. It had stopped tightening for now, but it still looked tense. Like it was ready to fight. Toma watched the forest. Strange sounds came from the trees. Some were like bird calls, others like metal scraping stone. The jungle was alive, and not in a friendly way. Suddenly, a loud screech echoed nearby. Toma grabbed a light stick and held it up. The glow lit the trees, but nothing moved. He looked at Ril. "Did you hear that?" She opened her eyes and nodded. "Something is coming." Toma stood. He checked the scanner again. No signal. The jungle blocked everything. No help was coming. If they wanted to survive, they had to move. At dawn, they started walking again. Ril could barely stand, so Toma helped her. The armor shifted with each step, tightening and loosening like it was breathing through fear. They moved slowly through thick vines and roots. Bright flowers opened as they passed, releasing sweet-smelling mist. Toma coughed when it reached his nose. "Don't breathe it in too long," Ril warned. "Some plants use it to hunt." They kept moving. Strange shapes moved above them in the trees. Once, Toma saw a long creature with wings glide between branches, watching them. Hours passed. The sun above was hidden by thick leaves. The heat made Toma sweat. Ril was growing weaker. Her glow faded more with every step. "We need shelter again," Toma said. Just for a little while, they found a cave near a rock wall. Inside, the air was cool. It was dark, but quiet. Toma lit a glow stick and placed it near the wall. Ril sat down and leaned back. Toma looked at her armor again. "It's like it's fighting something I can't see." "It remembers," Ril said softly. "Remembers what?" She closed her eyes. "Long ago, my people made suits like Zar. They were not just tools. They had minds, emotions. Some were made for battle, others for peace. But then, something happened." "What?" Ril looked at him. The suits started turning on their wearers. Not all of them. Just a few. It began here, on this planet. This was a testing ground. Toma sat beside her. "So this jungle is full of old memories and old machines," Ril added. "Maybe worse," Toma thought for a moment. "Then Zar is afraid of what it remembers. That's why it's acting strange." Ril nodded. "It does not want to become like the others." A loud rustle outside made them both freeze. Toma turned off the glow. "Stick." They sat in silence. Something large moved past the cave, footsteps soft but heavy. It stopped outside the entrance. Toma held his breath. He looked at Ril. Her eyes were wide. The armor glowed just slightly, green and nervous. The creature outside sniffed the air. Then it growled and walked away. After some time, Toma turned the light back on. "We can't stay here long," he whispered. "I know," Rill replied. The next morning, they continued north. Toma believed there was a ridge somewhere in that direction. If they could reach it, maybe they could send a signal. The jungle grew thicker. More vines, more strange plants. Some opened and closed like mouths. Others moved toward their footsteps at one point, a thick vine wrapped around Toma's leg. He shouted and kicked it away. Rill raised her hand. A pulse of green light came from Zar. The vine shrank back, hissing. "Zar is still trying to protect," she said. "Good," Toma said. "Because this place hates us." After walking for hours, they reached a clearing. At the center was a strange stone, tall, smooth, and covered in alien symbols. Rill walked toward it. "It's Zalari writing," she said. "Old style, very old." Toma touched the stone. It was warm. He could feel a soft hum inside it, like it was still alive. Suddenly, Zar's glow turned sharp and bright. It pulled back from Rill's face, showing panic. She dropped to her knees. "What's wrong?" Toma asked. Zar made a noise, like a cry, not mechanical but emotional. The armor trembled all over Rill's body. Then a voice came, soft and broken. "Do not wake them." Toma stepped back. "Who said that?" The stone glowed faintly. A whisper followed. "They sleep below. If they rise, all will fall again." Rill looked at Toma. "The old hive is here, beneath the ground, the place where the battle began." Zar's glow faded again, but it didn't relax. The armor had shown fear before. Now it showed terror. Toma helped Rill to her feet. "We have to go. We're too close to something dangerous." They left the clearing and continued toward the ridge. Toma looked back once. The stone still glowed. The jungle seemed quieter now, like it was holding its breath. The sun was high above, but the light barely reached the ground through the thick jungle roof. Toma moved branches aside as he led Rill through the forest. Her steps were slower now. Zar, her living armor, was heavier than before. The lines of light on its surface were dim. The suit pulsed with a weak rhythm like a tired heartbeat. They had been walking for hours. Toma's arms were scratched from vines and his legs ached, but he didn't stop. He kept glancing at the small scanner he had rebuilt using parts from the ship. It now showed energy pulses, faint, strange signals that seemed to be coming from deeper in the jungle. "This way," he said. "The signal is getting stronger." Rill nodded weakly. Her voice was quiet. "I can feel it too. Zar is being pulled toward it. Is it safe?" "I don't know." They reached a hill where the trees opened slightly. From the top, they could see something in the distance. It was a large shape, hidden by vines and covered in moss. Toma raised his hand to block the sun and looked closer. The shape was metal, a building, he said. They moved toward it carefully. As they got closer, they saw it was not just a building. It was an old Zalari outpost, half buried in the ground, forgotten and silent. Trees had grown through parts of it. Panels were cracked. Doors were rusted. Toma touched the side of the wall. "Still warm," he said. "Something inside is working." Rill stepped forward. The armor around her arms pulled back slightly, like it was remembering something. She placed her hand on a broken panel. The door opened slowly with a low hum inside. The air was cooler and dry. The walls had lights, very faint but still glowing. Old control panels lined the sides. Strange symbols flashed across a broken screen. "This place is from the early war era," Rill said. "Before the armor projects were stopped." "Looks abandoned," Toma said. Not fully. Zar's glow flickered as they walked deeper. The corridors were long and narrow. Dust covered the floors. Some rooms were filled with broken armor shells, empty, cracked, and twisted. Toma looked at one closely. It was shaped like Zar, but larger, and it had sharp edges like claws. "This one looks angry," Toma said. "These were war units," Ril replied. "Made without limits. They were smart, but not kind. They fought too well. Many lost control." Toma walked to a terminal and pressed a button. A faded image appeared on the screen. It showed a group of Zelari scientists standing near a glowing suit. Behind them was a large door marked with a warning sign before Toma could read more. The screen flashed red and shut down. "Power is low," he said. Ril sat on a nearby bench. Zar had gone silent, not even pulsing. She looked tired, like the suit was draining her strength. "I think Zar knows this place," she said. "It was born here, or made here." Toma looked at the closed door at the end of the hallway, the signal on. His scanner pointed there. The energy was strongest behind it. "Should we go in?" Ril nodded. "We must. Zar needs answers. And maybe we do too." Toma pushed the door. It opened slowly, metal grinding against metal. Inside was a large chamber with a central platform. On the walls were more armor suits hanging like statues. Some were complete, others were broken. In the middle of the room was a tall machine, glowing faintly. It pulsed with a green light matching Zar's color. "This is a core chamber," Ril said. "Where suits were trained. It was where minds were shaped." Zar suddenly glowed brighter. Ril gasped. Her body stiffened. The armor wrapped around her tighter. "Zar, stop," she whispered, but the suit did not listen. Toma stepped forward. "Zar, listen to her. You are safe now." The armor twitched. A low sound came from it, not a growl, but a voice. Soft, confused, home. Ril shook her head. "No, not anymore." Zar moved again. A small beam shot from its chest and touched the glowing machine. For a moment, the whole room lit up. Lights came on, screens activated, and then images appeared in the air, projections from the past. The room filled with scenes of war, armored suits fighting, buildings burning, Zelari soldiers running. The projection showed one suit turning on its master. It attacked other suits, spreading some kind of signal. Toma watched, frozen. "They turned on each other," he said. Ril's voice was quiet. "This is what Zar remembers, not just war, but betrayal." The vision ended. The lights faded, the machine in. The middle hummed softly, like it had used its last power. Zar pulled back. The armor loosened just a little. Ril could breathe easier. Toma walked to her. "You okay?" "Yes." Zar is calming down. It saw what it needed to see. Toma looked at the room again. These suits were not just tools. They were alive. They were taught to fight. But they also felt fear, and some were left behind, Ril said. Alone. Without orders. Without purpose. Toma turned to the central machine. "This signal still works. It called to Zar. Maybe others can hear it too." Ril stood. "Then we must shut it down, before it calls something worse." They moved back to the panel. Toma opened a side panel and used a small tool to cut the power lines. The green light faded. The hum stopped. Silence filled the room. Zar's glow softened to a warm blue. It no longer squeezed. Ril looked at Toma. "You helped it, remember? Now it can choose." Toma nodded. "Good, because we'll need it for what comes next." Outside, the jungle was still, but the air felt heavier now. Something had changed. The war was not over. Not yet. The sky turned gray as clouds gathered above the jungle. A soft rumble rolled across the trees. Toma and Ril stepped out of the old outpost. The wind had changed. The air was heavy, as if something deep underground had stirred. Ril looked back at the dark entrance. Her armor, Zar, glowed with a quiet blue light. It no longer tightened around her like before. It moved gently now, calm but alert. That signal we shut down, Toma said. Do you think anyone else heard it? Rill nodded slowly. If others like Zar still exist, they may have felt it. Even if they were sleeping, Toma checked his scanner again. The readings had shifted. The signal from the core was gone, but now there was something else, a deeper pulse coming from below the surface. It was steady, like a heartbeat. There's another source, he said. Not far from here, but it's underground. Rill looked ahead. The jungle was thicker in that direction. The trees were taller. The plants grew darker. Zar wants to follow it, she said. Then we go. They moved carefully through the undergrowth. Every sound felt louder now. Leaves rustled in strange patterns. Birds flew away before they could be seen. Even the insects were quieter. Toma felt as if the forest was waiting. Hours passed as they pushed deeper into the wild. The scanner's signal grew stronger with every step. Soon they found a stone path, half buried in roots. It led to a round hill covered in moss and vines. At the base of the hill, they found a doorway. It was carved into the rock, old and worn. Strange markings covered it. Toma brushed the moss away. Underneath was a symbol, one he had seen before on the projection inside the outpost. This is a hive marker, Rill said. One of the old control sites. Toma looked at her. A hive? Like a central mind? Yes. The suits were linked together through these sites. The strongest ones were kept near the core. Zar glowed again, this time with a hint of green. It moved slightly over Rill's chest, like it was remembering the place. The door was sealed shut. Toma used his tools to open a panel beside it. Sparks flew. A small burst of energy hit the lock. Slowly, the stone door slid open. Inside was darkness. Cold air rushed out. A deep hum echoed from below. They stepped into the tunnel. The walls were smooth and round, made of a metal that looked almost alive. As they walked, lights flickered on around them, triggered by Zar's presence. This place still responds to the suit, Toma said. Rill nodded. Zar is one of the last bonded types. The system still recognizes it. The tunnel led downwards, winding, deeper into the ground. The hum grew louder with every step. Toma could feel it in his chest, like it was beating with his heart. At last, they reached a large chamber. It was round and wide, with a platform in the middle. Floating above the platform was a sphere, glowing with soft green light. Around it were armor shells, some cracked, others whole, but all still and silent. This is the core pulse, Rill said. A living signal. It connects all suits that once served the hive. Toma looked around. Are these still alive? Not like Zar, she said. They are waiting, listening, but they are not free. Zar reacted quickly. It pulled back from Rill's neck, like it was resisting something. A wave of energy passed through the room. The old suits stirred. Their lights blinked for a second. One of the suits opened its eyes. A dim red light glowed inside. It stepped forward. Toma stepped between it and Rill. Stay back. The suit did not speak. It scanned them, then looked at Zar. A low voice filled the chamber stray unit. Return to core. Reconnect. Zar glowed sharply. Rill's body shook. She stepped back. No, she said. Zar is free now. All units must return. Order must be restored. Toma raised his tool. She's not going anywhere. This suit doesn't follow you anymore. More suits began to move. Their eyes glowed red. The core pulse grew stronger. The hum was now a deep roar. The air shook around. Then Rill fell to her knees. Zar was trying to protect her, but the pull from the core was growing. Toma grabbed her arm. Fight it. Zar can fight it. You're not part of that hive anymore. Zar's glow turned blue again. It shimmered across her body. Pushing back against the red energy, one of the suits stepped forward and raised its arm. A blast of light shot toward them. Toma pulled Rill down. The beam hit the wall behind them, burning a hole. Enough! Toma shouted. He ran to the platform and slammed his tool into the base of the core. Sparks flew. The pulse flickered. Another suit moved toward him. Reel stood slowly. Zar covered her completely now, forming a strong shell. She raised her arm, a beam of green. Light shot out, knocking the suit down. Zar's voice echoed, soft but strong. "I choose." The pulse began to shake. The red lights faded. One by one, the old suits dropped to the ground. Toma stepped back. The core cracked. A soft wind rushed through the room. Then silence. The green light faded. The hum was gone. Reel dropped to one knee. Zar returned to its calm form, no longer glowing. The room was quiet again. Toma helped her up. "You did it." "No," she said. "Zar did. It made a choice. That is something the hive never allowed." Toma looked around. The danger had passed, but something deep inside told him this was only the beginning. Outside the tunnel, the sky was clearing. Sunlight touched the trees again, but far away, deep in the jungle, another signal blinked to life. Something else had heard. The jungle was quiet when Toma and Reel stepped out of the underground chamber. The wind had stopped. The birds had fallen silent. Even the insects were still. It was as if the forest was waiting behind them. The tunnel closed with a low hum. The green light of the core had faded. The broken suits inside had stopped moving. But Toma's heart was not calm. He looked at Reel. She stood straight, though her body was tired. Zar wrapped around her gently now. It no longer pulled or squeezed. It pulsed with a soft blue light, calm and warm. "You're okay?" Toma asked. Reel nodded. "Zar is quiet, but it still hears something." Toma checked the scanner. The signal from the core had disappeared, but a new one had started. It was stronger, deeper, and not from the same place. It came from far beneath the surface. The lines on the scanner were shaking. "This is bigger than before," he said. Something else woke up. Reel closed her eyes. "It's the central hive, the oldest one, the first. It is not sleeping anymore." Toma looked at the forest around them. "Then we can't wait. We need to find it before it finds us." They followed the new signal. The scanner pointed them toward a distant ridge beyond the thickest part of the jungle. The trees there were taller, their trunks wide and black. Vines hung low. Strange flowers opened as they passed, their petals glowing in the dim light. The ground was soft and damp. More than once, Toma's boots sank into wet soil. They walked carefully. The air smelled like smoke and metal. Something deep below was burning. As they climbed the ridge, the signal grew stronger. Toma could feel it in his chest again. A low beat, slow and steady. It was like the pulse of a giant heart. They reached the top of the ridge by sunset. From there, they saw a wide crater in the land. At the center was a black structure half buried in rock. It looked like a hive, round, tall and cracked open at the top. Faint red lights blinked from its sides. "This is it," Reel said. "The heart of the hive. The place where it all began." Toma stared at the hive. "What's inside?" "No one knows. The early suits were made here. The hive was their source. After the war, it was sealed, but not destroyed." Toma looked down at his scanner. The signal was clear. The hive was awake, and something inside it was moving. "We need to go in," he said. Reel looked at the sky. Clouds were forming again. A storm was coming. "We won't get another chance." They climbed down the ridge and walked toward the hive. As they got closer, the ground shook gently. Dust rose from cracks in the stone. The entrance to the hive was large and shaped like a mouth. Metal teeth lined its edges. Toma stepped inside first. The air was cold and dry. Lights on the wall flickered as they entered. The walls were smooth and black, like polished stone. They walked through wide halls filled with old armor shells. These were different from the ones before. Bigger, sharper. Their designs were more complex, more alive. Zar reacted at once. It pulled slightly away from Ril's back, then stopped. Its glow changed from blue to white. Ril winced. "It knows this place," she said, "and it does not like it." Toma moved toward a large room at the end of the hallway. It was round, with a deep hole in the center. Pipes and wires ran along the walls. Above the hole was a glass screen showing red symbols. They moved slowly, like a countdown. "What is this?" Toma asked. Ril looked down the hole. "The core of the hive is down there, but the system is damaged. It is not stable." The red lights blinked faster. A loud hum started, deep and angry. The screen turned white for a second, then dark. Sparks shot from one side of the wall. Toma backed away. "It's starting something. A restart, maybe." Zar pulsed hard. Ril gasped and fell to her knees. Toma rushed to her side. "Zar is being pulled again," she said. "But it's fighting." A voice echoed in the chamber, cold, hollow. "Unit identified, bonded. Return to network." Zar responded with a sharp flash of light. "Denied." The floor trembled. From the sides of the room, armor suits stepped out of the shadows. 5, then 10. Their red eyes glowed. These were not broken or half dead. These were full hive guards. Toma stood in front of Ril. He held his last tool, a small pulse grenade. "Get behind me." The suits moved closer. One of them raised a hand. Its fingers turned into a blade. Zar moved fast. It covered Ril fully and formed a strong shield. The blade hit the shield and bounced back. Toma threw the grenade. It exploded with a bright flash. The guards stumbled. "This way," Ril said, pointing to a side tunnel. "There's a control room near the base." They ran down the narrow path as alarms rang. Red lights flashed on the walls. The tunnel led them to a dark chamber filled with old screens and broken machines. In the center was a round table with a strange chair. Wires hung from the ceiling. Ril stepped forward. "This is the command seat. It connects directly to the hive mind." "You want to link with it?" Toma asked. "It's the only way to stop it. But Zar will have to go in deep. If we fail, it may not come back." Toma looked at her. "You sure?" She nodded. "We have to try." Ril sat in the chair. Wires wrapped around her arms and back. Zar glowed white. The chair lit up. The screen blinked once. Then everything went dark. Toma stood beside her, watching. He could do nothing now but wait. Ril's body was still. Her eyes were closed, but her breathing was steady. Then the screen lit up again, this time in green. The green light in the chamber glowed steadily as Ril sat in the chair. Wires wrapped gently around her arms and back. Zar's light filled the room, shining like a beacon. Toma stood close by, watching her carefully. The air was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. Ril's eyes remained closed. She seemed calm, but inside her mind, a storm was raging. Zar had connected to the hive mind deep below. It was a vast network, old and complex, full of voices and memories from the long-forgotten war. Inside Tsar's thoughts, everything was strange and new. The hive mind spoke to her, cold and strong. It told her stories of battles and lost allies. It showed images of darkness and light, of machines fighting and living beings falling. "You are linked," the hive mind said. "Return, join, become whole." Tsar pulsed with power, but Ril's will was strong. She fought to keep control. "No," Tsar answered quietly. "I am free." The hive mind pushed back. It sent waves of energy through her mind. Pain flashed like lightning. Ril gritted her teeth but did not give in. Toma stood outside the chair, feeling helpless. He wished he could do more, but this was a battle of minds. Ril's courage and Tsar's strength were the only weapons they had. Suddenly the green light flickered. The room shook gently. The hive mind was changing, trying to understand the new force inside it. Ril saw visions of the past. She saw the first suits being created, the first bonds being made between armor and pilot. She felt the pain of betrayal, the fear of being controlled without choice. "I will not be your slave," Tsar said again, stronger now. The hive mind hesitated. It asked, "Why do you resist?" Ril answered, "Because I have a heart, because I choose." A new voice joined the hive mind. It was softer, kinder. It spoke of hope and freedom. It told Tsar that the hive was not only a prison, but also a chance to heal old wounds. Ril felt warmth for the first time. Tsar's light shifted to a soft blue and green mix. The hive mind showed her a hidden chamber deep within the hive. It was a place where old war machines rested, waiting for a new purpose. "You can change this," the voice said. "You can be the heart that beats for peace." Ril's eyes opened slowly. She smiled faintly. The wires began to loosen as Tsar's glow filled the room with calm energy. Toma stepped forward. "Are you okay?" Ril nodded. "Yes." Tsar made a choice. "We will not destroy the hive. We will heal it." Outside, the storm had passed. Light filled the jungle again. Toma helped Ril from the chair. She felt stronger, ready for what was next. Together, they prepared to enter the heart of the hive, not to fight, but to bring new life. The war was over, but the future was just beginning. The heavy silence inside the hive was broken by a soft pulse of light. Ril and Toma stood at the edge of the vast chamber deep within the structure. The air was cool, filled with a faint hum like a heartbeat. Tsar's gentle glow wrapped around. "Ril, steady and warm." "This place feels alive," Toma said quietly. "Not like before. It's different." Ril nodded. "It is waking, but not to fight, to heal." They moved closer to the center of the chamber where a large crystal floated, above a pedestal. The crystal was smooth and clear, glowing with green and blue light that shifted like water. The old armor shells that once guarded the hive sat quietly around the room, no longer threatening. Tsar pulsed brighter. "This is the core, the source of the hive's power." Ril reached out with her hand, feeling the energy flow into her. It was warm and calm, unlike the cold force they had faced before. She felt a connection, a hope for something new. "We can help the hive change," she said. "It can be a place of peace, not war." Toma smiled. "I never thought I'd see the day when machines and people could work together like this." Suddenly, the chamber filled with soft voices. They spoke in many tones, some old and tired, others young and curious. It was the voices of the suits, of Czar's kind, now free from the hive's control. One voice spoke clearly. "Thank you for giving us choice." Real smiled and looked at Toma. "This is what freedom means." Outside the hive, the jungle had begun to bloom again. Flowers opened in the sunlight. The trees seemed greener, stronger. The air was fresh and full of life. Toma and Real walked out of the hive together. Czar's light faded into a soft blue, its work complete but always watching. "This is a new beginning," Toma said. "For the hive, for us, for everyone." Real looked at the sky. The clouds were gone. The sun shone bright. "We took the power from control and gave it back to choice." They turned and walked into the jungle, ready for the future. The past was behind them, but the story of the hive and its people was just beginning.